It's here from Peter in Sweden. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, my point is that if we do nothing, what is happening in these countries that we allow them to go, that we allow these people, Assad, for example, is killing his own people.
But we're killing the Yemeni people. We're killing the Yemeni people.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Yemen. I'm talking about
I am
people
though.
in their own
I am
country.
though, because I'm asking you why you're so selective about civilian people being killed. We killed 10,000 civilians in liberating Mosul from ISIS. Did you oppose it?
Well, exactly.
Did you oppose it?
I actually come from the point of view that I was going to come to this and saying that I supported the Iraq War, for example, because I actually believed in the Labour government, and it was a wrong Labour government, I must be honest, but I did support that. But the point is that Saddam Hussein wasn't a good person, and Assad isn't a good person. He's doing terrible things.
Is the King of Saudi Arabia a good person?
No, but that's not the point.
It is the point. It is the point. You're terribly selective about the dictators you name as not very good persons.
I'm opposed to problems in Saudi Arabia. No. I'm opposed to all the things in Saudi Arabia.
No.
But look, I support we're supposed to be talking about what is going on.
Yes, we are. But
Syria.
I have.
So are you saying that you believe that Assad is the best thing for Syria?
No, and I never have. I'm pointing out, and the listeners have already discerned it, that you, a supporter of the Iraq War, which killed 1 million civilians, are extremely...
And I'm agreeing that I was wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong then, but you're right now. You're highly selective. Peter, I'm answering your question. You are entirely selective about which dictators you want to fight and which civilian deaths you are sad about. You didn't give a toss that we, Britain and America, killed 10,000 civilians in Mosul, not in the Iraq War, but liberating Mosul from ISIS. You don't give a toss that we are murdering thousands of Yemeni children, thousands of them. That's not even on your radar.
Yeah, that is not fair.
Like a sheep, like a Pavlovian dog, you turn up to bark at the one dictator that the British and American governments want you to bark at.
One dictator is better than the other. One dictator is better than the other.
No, that's what you think. That's not what I think.
No, that's what you're saying.
No, that's what you think. That's why you supported. That's why you supported the attack on Iraq. That's why you supported the attack on the dictator of Iraq, but not any attack on the
I do think it was wrong.
And I keep saying we're supposed to believe that you were wrong then about a war that killed 1 million people, but you're right now in supporting the war on Syria.
So your point is that it's okay to support a dictator that kills 100,000 people, but wrong when we have military interaction that kills 200,000 people.
1 million people it was, actually, but no.
Here's
what I think.
That's wrong.
Here's what I think. You ask me what I think. Peter, shut up. Peter, shut up. I'm answering you. Here's what I think. 2 things. Number 1, you are a blithering idiot who may very well be in Sweden's equivalent of Ward 5 at Broadmoor. And secondly, more importantly, there's every reason. There's every reason. Well, I'm insulting you. I'm insulting you. That's my prerogative. And here's my more important answer. There's a war going on between Assad, Russia, and Iran against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Jaish al-Islam.
Absolutely.
And in that war, I stand 100% with Syria, Russia, and Iran, and 100% against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Jaish al-Islam.
Why would you assume that if Donald Trump bombs a third world country that has been reduced to rubble, why would Putin make a insane action of going to war with America and bombing them if he's not an insane person? Because that would be a bad move, right?
You'll be hoping you're right, Philip, yeah?
Yeah. But
what about if you're wrong?
Well, I mean, Russia is a sane actor.
No,
right?
I'm asking you, what about if you're wrong? What happens if you're wrong? You're very certain, but imagine, because you're an intellectual, imagine the possibility that you might be wrong, that I might know more about Russia than you. So just imagine for a minute what would happen if you're wrong. What happens then?
Well, what will probably happen is they probably put it within the region, right? They would strike an American warship or something like that.
Yeah,
they
and what happens then?
America.
And what happens then?
Well, I mean...
what happens if Russia strikes an American warship?
Well, proportionally, if nobody's insane, it will go down to diplomatic resolution. Why would anyone go to nuclear war over a conflict in the Middle East?
You think Donald Trump, if an American warship is struck by Russia, will get down to diplomatic negotiation? Have you been asleep for the last year and a half? Do you know who the president of the United States is?
Israel once attacked the American warship, and that didn't result in
Donald Trump
war,
wasn't
right?
But Donald Trump wasn't the president then. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, hi, George.
Hi.
Nice to be on your show again.
Thank you.
I want to just say very quickly that the 28% of people who voted in a poll are complete idiots, and I would like to refer them to just two words: Wolfowitz doctrine. Now, if they Google that, and they probably might have the ability to do that, the Wolfowitz doctrine was leaked to the New York Times in 1992, and it was so outrageous in terms of taking out countries all over the world, including Ukraine, Georgia, Afghanistan, and I won't go through them all, but we all know Libya, Syria, Iraq. It's all there in black and white for these 28% of British idiots to go and have a look at.
Is there maybe an age thing as well? Someone pointed out on the Twitter that the reason people were so terribly afraid in the Cuban Missile Crisis was that a very large number of British people had already lived through a war, albeit one that didn't involve an invasion of our country and very, very severe bombing in some places, but for most of the country, relatively untouched by Nazi bombing. But there was still the knowledge base in the society of what war actually is. Might it be that many people imagine war to be a kind of computer game nowadays?
I think you're right, and I think they're remote from it, and they see it as something exciting to watch on the TV. And even the politicians are so remote from it, they don't really understand. And I'm absolutely shocked that people like, you referred to men in white coats earlier. Well, I don't think there's enough men in white coats to round up all the lunatics we've got running this country.
No, that's right. And not just running the country, you should see my Twitter feed. So there's a lot of idiots around. They may only be 28%, but 28% of the British public is more than 15 million people.
Yes.
And that's quite disturbing, actually, although, of course, we shouldn't downplay that despite the propaganda offensive, the number of people against a war is very much greater, almost twice as great. And somebody asked me on the Twitter, just to underscore your point, Peter, would the American bases in Britain, of which there are a very large number, would they be targets in a war with Russia? And of course the answer is yes, indeed they would.
Can I make a point to you, George?
Yes.
Because this is forgetting for the moment the American bases in Britain. This will not be a walk in the park like Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya. This will be an altogether different ball game. Iran is far stronger than it ever was. Russia is one of the most heavily armed nuclear powers in the world. Now, let me just point this out.
And the Chinese, Peter, the Chinese Navy just arrived at the Russian military base in Tartus. So we're going to fight China too.
Yeah. Let me just point out, George, that without nuclear weapons, within easy reach of Iran is Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Kuwait, and all these tin pot dictator countries that are propped up by America, and indeed Riyadh, and indeed Tel Aviv. So there is plenty of scope for retaliation, and I don't think Trump has got... I think the men in the white coats really need to get there quick.
Peter in Wigan, thanks for the call. Robert in London, you're on next. Go ahead.
Yes, only thing I probably disagree with you on this is that I think that the Prime Minister should be able to use the military as she sees fit, or he or she sees fit, but that she should be able...
Why do you think that, Robert?
Not so much... obviously, I actually don't think this is a good idea, what's going on with Syria, but it used to be the policy that the Prime Minister could deploy their military forces as they see fit, and then come to the Commons and say why they've taken the decision.
I'm asking why you support that.
Why do I support that?
Yeah.
But, it's more I support the principle that the Prime Minister should be because really
any Prime Minister, including one that's clinging to power on the tassels of the orange sashes of the DUP, you think she's got a mandate to go to war?
I don't support this war in the slightest.
No, but you think she's got a mandate to do so? You think she's got the right to do so?
It's more that I think she's got the right in the job, as has been the case for however many years.
Well, it's true that the Prime Minister has the royal prerogative to make war, though I would have thought in a grown-up democracy that was a simply nonsensical idea. But then we are about to have a mega royal wedding costing hundreds of millions of taxpayers' pounds, so maybe we do live in a ruritarian fantasy state. But since Tony Blair put the Iraq war to a vote in Parliament, every military action has had to go to a parliamentary vote. Thus, a new convention has been established.
Oh, has it? Oh, caught me off guard on that. In that case, yeah, sorry, I thought it had been the principle that if
no. Well, it was the principle until the Iraq war in 2003. But Blair wasn't stupid enough to go to war on his own say-so. He made sure that there were hundreds of other chumps following him into the war lobby. Okay, I don't want to embarrass you, Robert. Thanks for the call. No harm in not knowing something. Welcome back, Fraser.
Hello, George.
Nice to talk to you again.
Yes, I'll be back on the old Twitter soon. Just taking a wee break, Mr. K, and I'm going up Paisley on Saturday to see us win the league, hopefully. But anyway,
really, are you top of the second division?
Aye. Well, she could probably win it on Saturday. 1 point against Livingston's.
I had no idea. I lost track.
Anyway, you beloved Celtic have bought our best player and loaded them back to us. But anyway, more pressing matters. Do you know who gave a sarin gas? It was us, under David Cameron's regime. What do you think he was going to do with it? Put it on the shelf and admire it? You don't read.
I did see some pictures of Porton Down canisters in the armoury of the so-called moderate rebels.
Yeah, we sold them the gas, but this has all been airbrushed out. The other thing you don't read about in the media is that Yemen, which is just as bad, only in that case we're selling the Saudis billions of quid's worth of arms.
Not just that, Fraser. We're sitting in the command and control centre, guiding in the bombers. British and American officers.
That's another whole issue there at all, but you don't see that in the media. There's some very great...
Well, we've got to go to war in Syria because of the unsubstantiated death of children, whilst we are murdering children on an industrial scale in Yemen.
Yes, and in Syria, we sold them the gas, if it did happen, to murder them. It leads me on to one thing, the whole thing about ISIS. In that area, point one, it was Putin did more than anyone else to fight ISIS. But the one thing I'm not making a point, I just want to leave it hanging out there. If you look at a map you look at the Helmand province in Afghanistan, it tied up the best of the British Army for 10 years in knots. Take that area and then look at the field of operations ISIS had in the whole Syria to Iraq region. It's about 100 times as big. The sheer financial and logistics of keeping an operation like that on the go is beyond a ragtag bunch of rebels.
Beyond a non-state actor.
Exactly. And there's only 3 or 4 people in the world who are capable of doing it. One's the Russians, one's the Chinese. It's not them. That only leaves 2, and I'm not going to name them. Why aren't people working this out for themselves?
Well, of course, they're not doing so because we have media that isn't worthy of the name. The questions I posed in my very opening statement have never been asked, never, by any British journalist. Why are we, Britain, supporting the Army of Islam? Since when did Britain support an army of Islamic fanatics? And why?
It didn't be any, there's no, all this about...
We're giving them money, Fraser.
Yeah, well, my own personal view is this is all about the mass destabilisation of the Middle East to be filled in with the Saudis' Wahhabist regime and also on the back pocket an expansion of Israel.
Well,
that's a long story.
I wish I had your confidence that there is any plan at all. I know I should think so, but truthfully, I don't. Fraser, great to hear you. Thanks very much. Don't be a stranger.